I really wanted to showcase, these last couple months, really all the stuff that's out there. And some of those bands have been local. And the band this week, this is one of the most fun shows I've ever done, because other than one person, Dave, who's an amazing dude, as you guys will hear, I didn't know any of the other people, and they were so cool. They were so nice. And this week's artist is actually a predominantly bluegrass artist, and they mix some other elements into their sound, but they are the Fossil Creek Band. There's bluegrass, there's Americana, there's some gospel, there's some original country and folk in there, but they're rooted in bluegrass. Their hometown is basically like the Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan area, and you are going to hear 4 of the 5 members of the Fossil Creek Band in this podcast, those being Jan, Tom, Jerry, and Dave. Dave plays guitar, does some vocals. Tom does guitar, mandolin. He's one of the founding members, also does some vocals. Jan is one of the founding members. She plays banjo. And Jerry, cool dude, nice guy, he plays bass. The only one that wasn't present was Krista. She couldn't be there. She plays the fiddle. And, what's really cool about this show is, like I said, admittedly, I didn't know much about bluegrass going into this one, because I grew up listening to classic rock and, 80s music from my parents. I got into heavier stuff because my older brother was into it. And I just kind of found that was the stuff that I really loved. And it was really cool just kind of looking up some stuff about bluegrass and realizing, there are all these organizations, and it's a big deal. And there's, you guys will hear about in this podcast. There's some people who aren't into the Fossil Creek Band because they don't just adhere to traditional bluegrass. They play a lot of different stuff. And you just realize how dedicated and how old, roots this music has, and just the fan base that it has all over the world, and not just the United States. So it was really cool to do this one, not only because Jan and Tom and Dave and Jerry are so awesome and they're so nice, but because, for me it was cool to just do something different, and learn about another genre of music that I, don't really listen to, and just to get the scoop on how these guys, here's that restarting your computer thing again. Just postponed it. A little interjection there from Windows. But, that's what's really cool, about the way the show's gone the last few weeks and really last couple of months. Is I'm like, man, there's so many cool independent bands out there, and there's bands from all different genres, and I want to try to feature as many of them as I can. And it's not, and a lot of them have been local, and it's not just because I'm a homer and I want to pump up my hometown, but the reality is in Northwest Ohio right now, we have a really vibrant music scene. There's a lot of great shows. Actually, later on tonight, I'm going to go check out Benny Stolitz, who you guys heard last week's show. You heard about him and what he's doing. And it's just cool, man. So the little backstory about these guys, they formed in March of 2006. Dave actually, back in the day, was in a rock band called Uncle Knuckle Funk, played a lot of shows, and you can actually check them out on YouTube. And he's an amazing guitar player, and he played a gig with these guys and ended up really just diving into the bluegrass music and the playing. And one thing that I really respect about bluegrass music, having not listened to it really much at all in my life, is you realize when you listen to bluegrass music, from beginning to end in the song, you guys, everybody has a role. If you're playing bass or banjo or mandolin, or you're singing or you're playing guitar, it's from start to end, you have a role in the song, and it's a prominent one, and it's actually in a strange way, and it sounds weird to say, but it's almost like fast paced when you listen to the music and you listen to the notes that they're playing and the ground that they're covering. It's really incredible. So I have a lot of respect for bluegrass just from talking to these guys and getting to know their music a little bit. These guys have had their music played, I should say, in over 30 countries. This year alone, they've got performances in Ohio, Florida, Tennessee, Virginia, New York, Michigan, North Carolina. They had 2 CDs out, Songs from Home, which came out in 2012, Waiting on the Daylights, the new one. That one just came out this year, and you're going to hear some music from that one at the end of this, When I Shut My Big Yapper. I mean, there's just a lot of cool stuff that this band has going on that you guys are going to hear about. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Jan, Tom, Dave, and Jerry of the Fossil Creek Band. Here it is. Well, the band, you guys started, what was it, March of 2006. So it's been, coming on 9.5 years. Mm-hmm. So, Lord. Jan, say hi.
Hey, I'm Jan.
Jan. Tom is here.
How's everybody doing?
You guys are both the founding members, or two of the founding members, right?
Yep, you've done your own.
Jan's really one of the founders. I kind of came along a few weeks later, but yeah.
And then Dave,
It's all my fault.
Dave and Jerry as well.
Yep. Hey. Howdy.
So I first, just to start off, and we kind of talked about how you got involved in the band and stuff, but what made you want to start the band that long ago? I mean, how long is well, I'll keep it simple. What got the band going? Almost 9 years ago now.
No, brother.
Take your time. It's cool.
It's cool. Actually, what happened is I played bluegrass music for a long time with a couple bands in town.
Okay.
And my husband was in one of them, actually both of them, and he passed away. And it was like,
Sorry to hear that.
not only, thank you, not only was the music gone, but everybody was gone. It was like it was dead in here, not to be rude, but there were two banjos sitting over there. And I originally started taking banjo lessons from Conley because I really loved the banjo, but I put it away for 20 years and not, played it because he played it.
Right.
So after he passed away, there was a guy that was taking lessons with him, and about a month after he died, he goes, "Jan, why don't we start a band? Let's start a gospel band." And I'm going, "Hey, that sounds good. Anything to get me out of this house, anything to start me back." He goes, "You can play the banjo." And I'm thinking, "Oh yeah, right. It's been 20 years since I've touched a banjo." So he goes, "Oh, you can do it." I'm going, "Yeah." But we all got together. We just started playing, and it was Steve and I. We pretty much started it. Tom came in not too long after we started, and then I don't know if Clinton came in.
Clinton came in about the same time I did. I think
Yeah.
he'd been there one more time than I did.
Okay,
Clint White, right?
Clint
Yeah.
White. Yep.
Who's he playing with?
The Roys. Us. No. No.
Yeah, he will be doing a show with us in the future. That'll be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when did you get into the fold?
Actually, we were at a party at Clinton's house. As a matter of fact, Clinton was our first fiddle player.
Okay.
We were at a party at his house, and he had his band there, and he said, "Bring my guitar and you can jam along with us." I was like, "Okay." So the band was in the garage, and they were playing some tunes, and I was hacking along, and we were having fun, and then
Was that before or after the zoo?
That was after.
That was after the zoo. Yeah, I first met him at a function that they played at the Toledo Zoo. But we're playing along and everything's hunky dory and we're having fun. And then their guitar player and his wife decide that they need to leave the party. And on his way out, he quit. I mean, that's basically in how it ended up. So it was like, well, guess what?
Dave.
It wasn't nearly as neat as that, was it?
Pretty good.
But they asked me to join, and I thought, okay, I guess. I mean, I grew up with bluegrass music. Not so much the gospel end of things, but my dad was a lover of bluegrass, and he played guitar, and I always wished that I would play more of it. And I thought, well, I guess I'm going to be playing more bluegrass.
Make Dad happy.
Yeah, that'll make Dad happy.
She goes, "What have I done wrong?"
Now, what about you, Jerry, Tom? I mean, has bluegrass music always been something that kind of like spoke to you guys the most? Like, how did you guys get into it? Or did you come from a completely different end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I've always been a bluegrass player.
Nice through his teeth.
I have always been a bullshitter.
Well, yeah.
I was playing gospel music at church and writing songs for plays and stuff like that, the original guitar player, before he went off on his own thing, asked me if I'd play in a gospel band that he was in the town that I lived in, and it was through a mutual friend, and we played together on a band called Bob, the Brothers of Bluegrass, and it was a gospel band. We played at churches and things like that, and it was kind of a jam band. There was like 12 of us.
Yeah.
And you never knew who was going to show up from week to week. And I played guitar, and one day he said, you got to play something else. We got enough guitar players. And so I tried bass, and I didn't like that. And then he handed me a mandolin that he bought somewhere. I don't know, an old Fender mandolin that he bought. He may have bought it from you. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I kind of fell in love with it. And then when that band just kind of fell apart, because like I said, it was a jam band. And then when he got together with Jan, he knew I played mandolin. They needed a mandolin player, so that's where it ended up. And so that's kind of how that started.
What about you, Jerry?
He loves
you always been into bluegrass, or was this kind of a new foray into?
No, I was in
different?
bluegrass 40 years ago.
Okay.
Back when I would play anything for money.
What were you doing
And
in
I was
bluegrass?
playing in rock and roll bands, back in '69, '70 when all this was, bands were just coming out. A lot of fun. And I had a gentleman say, listen, I can get you a weekly end gig if you play in the bluegrass band. So I said, sure, why not? I'll play it. And
Bring my keyboards.
yeah, I did that too. But so I just played with him for a while, for years. Vic Holly was his name. Nice guy. A lot of fun. And then I dropped out, went back to classic rock. And then, of course, I met Jan. And when you meet Jan, you meet the banjo. And I was
Sometimes literally.
yeah. Then you get a picture of the banjo. She's a photographer by trade.
It's in your wallet, isn't it?
But she knew I was a musician, so they had the bass player. I don't know if he dropped out or just didn't show up or how it worked
He
out.
just
but
got old.
They just asked me, They
He'd
just
walk
asked me
away
to
from his
fill in
bass.
for a couple of gigs. So I said sure, and 6 years later and 2 CDs, I'm still filling in.
The longest temporary position in any band.
We just can't commit.
Yeah, he won't go away.
Well, I think what's
Dang
cool
you.
looking up stuff about you guys, and I think what's cool about like the way things are today is it's kind of almost it's like twofold. There's an interesting dichotomy in music because on one end it's like there's so much stuff out there that you really kind of have to dig to find music. But on the other end, if you are really passionate about music and you're into the production side, which most DIY bands or self-produced bands do all their own stuff, there's access to pretty good software to be able to make all your own music and get it out to a lot of people. Like you guys have played or have had your music played in like over 30 countries, and I think that speaks to bluegrass because I'm a guy that came from. I grew up listening to like. My dad was into like classic rock. I had like a Mickey Mouse Tom Petty guitar when I would try to play Free Fallin'.
Who doesn't?
Mickey Mouse guitar when I was like 5. So he was really into Eric Clapton and Tom
Sure.
Petty and the Heartbreakers. He had this album too. I still can't remember the name of the. I can't remember the name of the artist, but I remember the album he used to like that called Road to Zen, and he liked like Dire Straits. And then my mom was all like 80s pop, In fact, I think Gordon Sumner Sting is probably one man that she would legitimately cheat on whoever she's with. And then my oldest brother, who's 6 years older, he was right in his teens, getting into high school in like the mid '90s, and he was really into like
Bluegrass, right?
Korn. And, yeah, he was a huge bluegrass guy. Huge bluegrass guy.
Yeah.
So he was into like Korn and Machine Head and Metallica, and I was like, and I wanted to be like him, So I started to get into like heavier stuff. But as I've gotten older, like I still love that stuff. But I feel like as you get older, you kind of branch out into different
You just
avenues
open
and
up
stuff.
more
Yeah.
to more genres. You don't just narrowly go down that real close path that just I only want to listen to this. You go, man, there's great stuff everywhere.
Yeah, and I think that's what's interesting about what you guys are talking about. That like you had, Uncle Knuckle Funk for all those years coming from rock, and you came from classic rock. So I mean,
First band in 1968, Liquid Giraffe. There you go. That was the name of the band.
Yeah.
My first band was called, it wasn't even a band, it was a barbershop quartet called the Audio Tones.
I love that.
Salt Creek. No.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
but I
that's
just,
what it's all about, man. How did you come up with the Fossil Creek name?
Oh dear God.
My daughter. There was a guy who worked at the school named Neil Kraft, still friends. Don't see him as much anymore, but he's the one who introduced me to Steve McDaniel, who's the guy who really started the band initially. And we used to go uptown in Liberty Center, Ohio, stand in front of the post office bell, and just play whatever we felt like playing. And at the time, my kids and myself were really into the band Nickel Creek. Chris Thiele and Sarah and Sean Watkins. And we were up there just playing, and people would bring us water from the stores, or they'd bring us over some food from the Dairy Queen, and we just stood out there and played. I mean, we just doing it for fun. And I think one of the guys' wives took a bunch of pictures of us, and I got some I actually have the picture still hanging in my music room. And my daughter goes, "Oh, look at the old guys trying to be Nickel Creek. It must be Fossil Creek."
There it is.
And that was it. And the name stuck.
So does she get royalty rights for singing?
Oh gosh,
You're a royalty.
I don't know. She took. I gave her some stuff on our last album. She actually does all our design work for us for the
Oh, really?
albums. She's a graphic designer over in the Akron area, and I don't know where I was going with that, but she does all our album covers now. And we had a little tribute to her at the end, thanking her for doing all the stuff. She took it off. She said, "I'm doing the graphics. I'll put on here what I want to put on here." She left all the thank yous, but the one to her. So.
Well, looking up, going into this conversation with you guys. I mean, having not really come from like a bluegrass background, like the most bluegrass I've ever listened to is country, which still isn't even really bluegrass at all. Now
I'm
it's
glad
more
that you
pop
make that
music,
distinction because so many people just, you do country.
Yeah,
Well, no.
Yeah.
We touch on it,
yeah.
but we don't.
And country now is more almost like pop music.
Oh, yeah.
80s rock with a fiddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Really.
And no steel guitar.
Yes, which is shameful.
But what is it about this music that grabs you guys? Because even reading about it, like it's like coming from like heavier music, metal music, it's very much a brotherhood. It's like the redheaded stepchild of like modern music, and even nowadays, it's still very kind of outside of the norm. And bluegrass, it just seems like there's like just a cult following with this stuff, and there's like a real big community for bluegrass music, and it's been around a long time, and there's still deviations of it, and I know you guys kind of branch out into different
And it's starting to get younger.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's cool is we're
thankfully
starting to see the younger people.
And I think, and that brings me to a point that popped into my head while you were talking there. There's so many things that we could elaborate on so many points, but us coming from all these different backgrounds, okay, we don't technically play pure bluegrass.
Yeah.
We
So
can.
we can, yeah, we touch on it, and Jan has, her feet firmly in bluegrass.
But I'm from Michigan, so there's no southern there in me.
Bluegrass, bluegrass, Kentucky bluegrass is,
Yeah.
of course, where the term came
Right,
from.
right. But I mean, we have all these different influences, so maybe we're not pure bluegrass, but we play bluegrass and we bring all these other elements into it, and it maybe becomes something new. And the bluegrass community is large, but it tends to, well, it has for years until recently, I think, it tends to keep to itself. And we've actually been cold-shouldered by people for not being purists.
Yeah.
That's
That's what I was going to ask you guys about too.
or
what that's
or
like.
really uncomfortably introduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had actually had a disclaimer at the front of one of our shows. We played over in Eastern Ohio, and the guy who introduced us says, "Now you got to give these folks a chance." He said they play a little differently than what you're used to hearing, but I think you'll like it.
The bluegrass.
We don't take too kindly your kind around
Yeah,
here.
that's exactly. That was the general tone. It's like,
But
well,
the deal is after we played, everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys were so good! Oh my gosh, when can you come back?
Yeah.
When can you come back?" So it's just that they aren't used to us, but once they hear us, they're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
that's cool."
they're generally resistant
Mm-hmm.
to anything different or new.
Right.
And it's just like, but you can't, and this might offend some people, but you can't just play to people who are 80, 85 years old and have been listening to the same 40 or 50 songs for all of their years.
Right.
And they don't
And-
need us to do that because
Right.
there's already people doing
There's
that.
already
Right.
people that
At
are
the
just
festivals,
doing it.
especially.
Yeah.
They're running it into the ground, literally. So, but there's a lot of people out there, and like Tom said, it's getting younger. There's and what's funny is this band is younger than a lot of them.
Yeah.
That's the weird part. I mean, the Fossil Creek name came 10 years ago,
Yeah, right.
so which is a little scary.
Yeah, but I mean, it just the people in the band are actually younger than a lot of the people that we're
Yeah.
playing bluegrass for and with. But it's getting different. There's a lot of these younger acts coming up, and they call it new grass or they call it whatever. But
Yeah.
it's all people trying to take a
Sam
storied
Bush.
art form, and with music, you're supposed to try and make it your own and,
Right.
and let it grow.
Right.
It's supposed to pollinate.
Yeah.
And there's some people that still don't want that to happen. They don't, they resist that change. But I think that's one of the things that's made this band click with so many people is because we never actually said, hey, this is what we are.
Right.
Yeah.
We went up there and just played, and we learned.
Right.
Oh, hey,
Right.
this is what we are.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you hear us 6 years ago, and then you hear us now,
Two different
it's
bands.
almost unrecognizable. And it's not that. I mean, there's been some personnel changes, but those are minor. It's just that we found our niche. We found what we're comfortable with. To answer your original question, the thing that drew me to bluegrass is that when you go to a bluegrass concert, people are smiling, and they're truly. They say, I don't like bluegrass music. And we were talking about this. There's a band that's on America's Got Talent right now called Mountain Faith. And I heard Howard Stern say it a couple times, and some other people said, well, I don't like bluegrass music, but I like you.
Yeah.
And I've heard that. We were talking about how many times we've heard that.
Yeah.
But that
You know.
that's a victory.
Yeah.
In our
Yeah.
view,
Very
that's a
much
victory.
so, yeah.
That means, well, yeah, you thought you didn't like it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but now we just pricked your armor.
Because I think people have preconceived notions about stuff, and they don't really, they don't really go. There's some people who you'll never get to cross the fence. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you go see them live, like I still tell my buddies to this day, because I have a couple of friends, and I say it on a lot of podcasts that, when I pay for a show or go to a show, like I like to get there as early as possible and see all the bands, because you never know who you're going to see or who
Right.
you're going to get into. And there's a few of those bands in the last couple of years that now have like really blown up, and it's cool to look back and be like, dude, I saw them when they opened for so and so, when they just killed it. 30 minutes in, they won people over. Because I'm sure you guys have experienced this too. I feel like no matter what show I go to, when you're one of the opening bands, I mean, you almost got to play like 100 times harder, and even then,
do.
there's still
You do.
people that are just there because they're like, I'm not here to see
You,
this.
you
But
definitely have
you-
to exaggerate your presence.
Yeah.
We're just wasting time, so we had our good seats for the headliners.
Yeah.
Have there been shows, and there have been shows like that, but like halfway through, you could start to see the people like getting into it, and you're like, wow,
Yeah, they do things a little different, the disclaimer introduction.
yeah.
And it took 2 or 3 songs, but then all of a sudden you saw smiles and you saw
Feet tapping.
some
Yeah.
feet tapping. It was like, okay, we're making inroads here. And,
Yeah.
and we did end up selling some CDs.
Yeah. We
You
did.
know,
We sold
which is
several
very telling.
CDs
Yeah, we
that
did.
night.
And they wanted, and they were going back.
And we're going back. They booked us again, so that's a real good sign in itself,
Yeah.
right there.
Doing something right, yeah.
But I think when we decided to write what we like, write the music we like to play, and play it the way we want to play it, I think we all got happier, and I think it started to gel.
Right.
And I think for a long time, I know Jan and I had this conversation a lot of times. How come we don't sound like everybody else?
You don't want
I think
to.
we ought to sound like everybody else. She said, no, you don't. And it took a while to get it through my thick skull that sounding different's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we don't sound like a country band, and we
No.
don't. Sometimes we don't sound like a bluegrass
Right.
band. And we have a song on this album that Dave put on, which I think is a fantastic song. We had to about beat him over the head to get him to put it on the song because he says it's not really bluegrass.
But it's like
But-
the number 2 played song in the world. Number 1 being
Of
the
our
one that he
songs.
did, but
yeah,
it's the number 2
and
played
all
song
of our
in
other
the world
stuff,
right
and
now.
it's
So,
is it straight
not bad.
bluegrass? No, but it comes from the heart.
Yeah.
And it's an emotional song, and that's what bluegrass is. And that's
Bluegrass
what
is
good
from
music's
the
got to be
heart.
something that's important to you.
Right.
Whether it's Korn or
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
Beatles
Yeah.
or Bill Monroe. I mean,
Regardless of whether it's new grass or old grass, bluegrass has always been about life and people and feelings and heart, because you talked about cheating and drinking and killing and stuff like
Right.
that in bluegrass, but I'm sorry, but that's life.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
exactly what life's all about. And falling in love with somebody else's wife.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
are songs that have been around for a long time. We don't do them.
I was going to say we don't do many of those
but-
because that's not our experience.
No,
Right.
it's not. Yeah,
We write about our experience.
That's
And they're
right.
not autobiographical songs.
no, not at all.
I mean, there's a few things here and there that sneak into the songs.
Right.
I mean,
Autobiographical
there's a rule.
elements.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, you might start off with an idea that you had, and then all of a sudden, and I read this on Facebook just today, actually. It said, yeah, you start off with the ideas about you, but the song has a life of its own.
Right.
So if the song wants to go somewhere else, let it go. It's just a song. It's not real. I mean,
Yeah.
But what's nice about it, one of the things that Tom and I have really worked on our songwriting, obviously, over the last few years, and one of the things that we learned was that a good story sells itself.
Yeah.
And making a song a good story is difficult because if you have all these ideas, they start coming in this flood, and you go, oh, yeah, you got all these other things. You think, oh, I could say this, I could say this, I could say, and you start detailing things out. And what you do is you close the listener out.
Yeah.
So what we've learned to do is get the points of the story, but you leave open holes.
Yeah.
Because we don't want it to
stay
be
away
our
from
song.
the
We
me's
want
and
it
the
to be
I's.
theirs.
So it's not yours definitely. What you want is for the listener to be able to place his or herself in that song. That's when it reaches them.
Yeah.
When they can say, "Wow, that spoke
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
That I've been there."
Yeah, I felt
And you know,
that.
when you got
They can adopt your story.
you got a book
Yeah.
with 500 pages, it's going to take you maybe a week to read. You can put all kinds of stuff in and really get people involved. But the trick is, you got 2 to 3 minutes to put these people through this whole experience,
Yeah.
and bring them out going, yeah, I like that.
Right.
Well, I think that's what's cool about bluegrass too, and it's funny that this show is coming at this time because this one I'll probably put up next week. I have a guy this week. His name's Ben Stolitz, a young guy. He's like 26, and he's kind of doing like Americana, folk type of stuff. You know, you can tell very loves like Dylan and obviously all
Yeah.
those guys, but like he got into that type of music ironically from listening to like some hip hop and rap because he was like they tell stories and he's like I just really enjoyed the guys who really told stories, and I think that's what's cool. Like I said, for me, not even coming from bluegrass and looking stuff up to get ready for this, I'm like that's a really cool, intricate thing that makes it more of an intimate experience, you know, because if you're making a song for the radio, it's like, okay, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, here's the solo or here's the breakdown, here's the big catchy chorus, because you're grabbing people for 3 minutes, but it, you know, you could have a bluegrass song or an Americana or folk song be 3 or 4 minutes, but there's like, it's just so much more of a story than it is just like a, hey,
layered.
let's make it catchy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and, but you catch people with the story too.
Right.
Well, you know, even Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead was based in bluegrass.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know that.
He recorded several bluegrass.
Oh, yeah.
And he made several
With
real
David
good
Grisman
bluegrass
and
albums, outside
Tony
of the
Rice.
Grateful Dead. So it's been around forever. I think Dave made a comment that I'll always remember, and he says I said, what kind of brought you into the bluegrass from the rock and roll and the guitars and the leads and the wild? He says, it's just you. You know, it's just wood. It's just wood and strings and you.
Yeah.
And there it is. There's
Yeah.
nothing else. There's no Shazam.
nothing fake.
You can't hide anything. There's nowhere to run and hide.
There's nowhere to go. Yeah.
You
So
can't
when
you
you're
can't
playing
hit the
it-
fuzz pedal or some sort of effect. If you play the chord wrong or the note wrong, there it is.
There it is.
Hopefully it's gone quickly.
Exactly. You just smile a little wider, because that's your only backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we meant to do that. Comes
I meant to do
I
that.
meant to throw out the old Pee Wee Herman. I meant to do that. But I mean, I think it's from a guitar player's standpoint. Not only is it laid bare like that, but it's the most brutally physical music
It sure is.
that a guitar player can play.
Yeah.
And
People
I'm telling
laugh.
you
Because
what,
you're doing a
it's-
lot of like
Yeah.
It's a
and-
trial by
Yeah.
fire.
It
and,
sure is.
I love both my acoustic guitars, and especially my new one. But it sounds magnificent,
Yeah.
but it is an absolute beast to play.
Yeah.
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 compared to electric guitars.
Yeah, and I'm used to electric guitar where I had to actually put heavier strings on to keep from strangling it to death.
Yeah.
I had to make it fight me back a little bit so I didn't destroy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had,
This thing will destroy me
Yeah.
if I'm not careful.
And I've heard all of us in
Yeah.
the band will play some lick and
Yeah.
we'll play something that came out really cool. All of a sudden you hear somebody go, yeah! And it's from the heart. It's not just something you do. It's like, you finally got that right.
So when you guys write, what comes first? Is it the music or is it the lyrics? 'Cause
Yes.
Both your albums, both your albums. When I was listening to, I listened to the sampler from Waiting on the Daylight, and I was checking out stuff from Songs from Home. And Songs from Home is definitely kind of more of a concept album, just about, like you said,
Yeah.
like life stuff, real life
Yeah.
things. And Waiting on the Daylight is too, but it's got kind of more of like a light at the end of the tunnel type of positive.
Yeah,
like,
it became
searching
very
vibe,
spiritual. I don't know that we knew it was going to do that.
Yeah.
No.
Like these guys
Yeah,
told me about the one song. They said, "Well, that's a spiritual song." I said, "No, it isn't." They said, "It certainly is. Listen to it." And I listened to it with a different set of ears. Not the ones that wrote it. And I listened to it. I go, "Oh my gosh!"
We got another
And
gospel
Dave,
song.
and Dave did the same thing. And
I've never consciously wrote a gospel song or anything like that because I just don't. That's not how I think.
Yeah.
But I guess I prefer the term inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I'm normally way more depressed than that. But when I hear like Waiting on the Daylight, that is overtly positive.
Oh, yeah,
Even though it
definitely.
talks about some negative things, the hook is overtly positive. I
Oh,
mean, it's just
And I think that's why we chose that song for the title of the album, because we realized that was kind of the feel of the whole album. Was like, okay, it kind of sucks right now, but it's going to get better.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're not giving up.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's interesting too is like, everybody kind of has their part in every band, right? But with bluegrass, it's like you've got banjo, mandolin, fiddle, guitar. It's like there's all these different elements going on, bass, and it's like it seems like it's going like the whole time. Like I notice that instantly when you hear a bluegrass song. It's like boom, 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 like, and it's like from start to finish, and there's peaks and valleys, but
Right.
it's like. It's not like a rock song sometimes where it's like maybe you'll have like the drums that'll kick in,
Yeah.
and you'll have. And so I mean, it's like I picture this, and it gave me an appreciation for what you guys do, because it's like not only is the lyrical content really good when you have to tell these stories,
Yeah.
but everybody's got these intricate parts that they're playing just like the whole time, and you're like, wow. So that's why I asked that question. I was like, I wonder what comes first, or is it just sort of a natural thing depending on what you're doing?
Well, like Tom said, yes.
Well, Songs from Home was
Yeah.
a good example.
Either one can come first.
It was a lick. It was one lick. I was sitting around the house one night, and I played this little lick in A minor, and all I did was lift a finger and go through this little progression, and I took it to Dave, and he went nuts with it. And then on the last album, Bittersweet Waltz, Dave wrote a tune when we were practicing one
that
night.
was
We
an
just thought it was really cool.
I'm a noodler.
Yeah.
And as soon as like we're all a little ADD, we're pretty damn distracted when it comes down to it, for a multitude of reasons. It could be, for me, a lot of times it's just what's going on in my life, which is sort of spiraling out of control at any given moment. But I noodle around, like people start talking, and sometimes I'll join the conversation, but I'm more apt to retreat into myself and into my guitar. And I'm at practice one night, I'm noodling around, We're in between songs, taking a little breather or whatever, and I'm noodling around. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
So I was like, right away, I'll just run through that feel. I'll just do a straight 3-chord progression and see what happens, and I'll try to... And I carry this little melody through it, and... Well, that's pretty neat. Yeah, I guess it is. So
And it laid on my cell phone.
Yeah, Tom whips out his cell phone. Let's just record that. So he recorded it on his video program on the cell phone, and there it languished for the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh, all of that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't even have that cell phone anymore. Well, I still have it, but it's dead as a doornail.
But we thought about it every now and then, I guess.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, we started talking about it one day. I was like, well, I guess it's just going to be an instrumental. It's a waltz and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, maybe it just needs like a simple refrain. Make just one refrain, and it'll be a true waltz. Maybe we'll add a verse. Well, then it had to have 2. Well, if you got 2 verses, you got to have 2 choruses. Why don't we put a little break in there? Next thing you know, it grows into a full-fledged song with the lyrics were changed.
Well, yeah, Dave wrote both
times,
of the he wrote both of the choruses, but he couldn't come up with the verses. He just couldn't make them fit together. And one night we were sitting here, and I said, "Tell me the story. Tell me the story that you want to tell, and let me have it." And I've got a thesaurus, so I can come up with some words here. And so I wrote both verses basically in about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. And I brought him back, and Dave goes, "I like that one. I don't like that one so much." He said, "It doesn't say enough." And then so he tweaked it around a little bit, and by the time we were done, and it was like, "Well, change this word, and it'll be fine." Mm-hmm. And I mean, we don't sit and talk about them that much.
But it did, working on it occasionally, back and forth like that, it did come down to changing a word here and a word there.
Yeah, yeah.
Just because it allows the listener, we were trying to figure out a way to let the listener in and let them place themselves in the story, and it's still got to come off passionate, it's still got to come off, it's got to roll off the tongue smoothly, because you got to be able to sing it
Right.
Yeah.
when it comes down to it. And it's got to fit the original feel, I guess, is where that came from. It's just
Yeah.
it was just a feeling that I had. Well, how would I feel if this happened to me? You know, and I guess in that sense, it might even be autobiographical because I think I'd probably feel like that guy did in that
It
song.
was, you know, after you gave me that phrase, though, I went right to someone that I knew when I was younger.
Right.
You know, and it's like, I think everybody can go to that place.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's when I said something to Dave. I said, I think we got something here, because I said, it took me right where we were trying to go. And I said, if it did that to me, and you wrote, you know, he wrote that part, that I could follow the story and I could come from my experience in life. I mean, I enjoyed writing that one because it was both of us writing it, and we were coming from different places.
And that was and it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It is.
I can remember thinking to myself, a waltz? Come on, a waltz, guys?
Yeah.
So and then I started thinking about when was the last real good waltz put out?
And then two
Tennessee
came out the week
Waltz
before
40
ours.
years ago, you know?
But I haven't heard them.
So
No.
I
That's
I got
just
into
it.
it with
It's
them,
weird.
and it came right down to a
waltz.
really predominant song on the album. I was really pleased with the way it came out.
And sometimes I've got a song that Jan said the lyrics, Dave said the lyrics. I wrote the whole lyric. I wrote verses, I wrote chorus. I got nothing for a melody, and we've bandied that song about for a while, and I think the poem's really good, but I don't know what to do with
Isn't
it.
that something too? When you'll come up with something and you'll hear it in your head. Like I picked up a guitar when I was 19 and I'm 27 now. And I don't play that much, so I would never play it for anybody because I'm not that good. It's just for having some fun every now and again, just jamming a little bit. But like it's crazy how you can come up with something that you really like, and then you're like, and I got nothing. You know what I mean? You're like, you know what I mean? You come up with
That's one
something.
of my
and you-
favor't lines.
and you just like you'll have it up to a point. You're like, oh God, I love this, and you're like, I have no idea where to go from here. I have no idea. So is that what's good about being in a bluegrass band, especially like you, Jan? You've been doing it for a while, where you can kind of bring something else to it. Like you go, okay, I think a banjo.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that would sound good there.
Yeah.
I think that would
Because
sound
there are
good.
some songs that, you know, some songs that we do that the banjo's just very much in the background.
Yeah.
It's not, it just couldn't possibly be anything, or sometimes not even at all in the song, because it just doesn't fit. But yeah, there are a lot of songs that we
But
do
sometimes
that
it doesn't end up where you're going,
Right.
where you thought it was going.
Right.
Like, you know, when Dave wrote "Rolled in a Cup,"
yeah.
all he heard little mandolin and guitar. That was it.
Yeah.
Well, the fiddle player went in there, and she did some things that were just amazingly crazy. And then Jan and her sat and talked and said, "Now play the saddest thing you can think of to
Right.
go along with this, and play as little as possible."
And we ended up
And she
taking
did.
over. I ended up,
And that's
you know, when
that's what did it.
Yeah, we took out a half of what she played in order to just get the loneliness of that song, or
Right.
that song just is like, oh
And
wow,
she
we've
did.
all been there.
Yeah.
She was able to dig way deeper. She surprised us. I mean, which she's a virtuosic player,
Oh,
so
yeah,
she
very
surprises
much so.
us on a regular basis.
Yeah,
but
right.
usually by going over the top.
And
This
showing
time
up
she
on time.
surprised us by being able to get really
To put it
deep
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
use a voice in her fiddle that was more violin-like
Yes.
and in a lower register, and it just definitely drew something different out of her playing. And you know, I don't know if maybe she was a little put off that so much of what she did got not used.
I don't think she
No,
was.
I don't
think
think she was at all.
No.
I think,
But
I
I
think
think-
she learned something in the process,
Yeah.
and
Right.
she knows that.
because we certainly didn't want to do that.
you can't
But-
speak for her, but
Right, but she did many brilliant things. But sometimes brilliance can outshine the song,
Right.
and we had to be careful because the song is pretty desperate, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And well, she did it. I mean,
Yeah,
she
she
brought
did
out
it.
some stuff that's just wow, that's really deep,
Yeah.
and it's almost lyrical in itself.
Did we mention her name?
Is it
Well,
Krista?
Yes,
Krista.
yes,
Krista.
Krista.
Okay.
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
lives way down near Mansfield, Ohio, so that's why she's not here tonight.
Okay.
Don't give her. Should we give him the address and her phone number?
No.
Not again, Jerry.
I'll put the link up on her page to her
Yeah, that
Match.com
works.
profile or whatever.
There it is.
Plenty of
Oh,
fish.
so you know she's single.
We're always giving her crap about giving her number out.
Yeah, right.
And oh, we have a lot of fun with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and she's real good about it.
We've
Yeah,
given
she's
away
good.
many dates with Kristen
Yeah.
that never happened.
God love her.
She's never gone on any of them.
That's right.
So when you came into this, Dave, from a songwriting standpoint, because I know you do a lot of arrangements, and I know you and Tom, you guys will both trade like lead vocals and harmonizing and stuff. Was it a whole heck of a lot different from how you wrote from a rock music standpoint? Was it challenging at first? Do you feel like you kind of hit your niche now?
That's an interesting question, and I'll say this first. No, because I was lucky. The guys in Knuckle Funk, when I was in that, I'm still friends with those guys.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is a beautiful thing. So I don't get to hang with them as much as I need to, but that's just life right now. But we had a principal songwriter in that band, the singer Ches. 90% of that was him. But sometimes he would have just an idea.
Yeah.
And then me or Matt, the other guitar player, or Lonnie, the bass player, would say, well, I can go here with that. I'm getting this. And it's like, and it would just sort of be organic, like it is in this band. So
Yeah.
it would do that, you know. But by the same token, there was a couple of songs that I wrote with Knuckle Funk. One in particular that we put on an album. It was the song was called Stardust. I wrote that alone in my car, driving from the recording studio.
Yeah.
And when I introduced it to the band, I played it on acoustic guitar, and they loved it. But it came with a qualifier. It's like, we're not changing anything. We're not doing no input on arrangement, nothing. This is the song the way I feel it, and that's the only way I want to do the song.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And in this band, I really don't do that.
Yeah.
Because they generally feel where I'm coming from anyway.
Yeah.
I think
Everybody
that's why
sees
this
it
is
veterans.
this is a successful band.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Is
so
because
too.
we get what the other person's trying to do. You know,
You know, and we're not just newbies. You know, like Jan's been in the music business for years. I've been playing since
Yeah.
high school. You know, I'm the oldest guy in the band, so you know, it's been
Yeah.
forever. Dave's the youngest guy, and he's bringing in a lot of talent with the band.
Yeah.
And just being here with everybody and knowing that when somebody says something, they go, okay, they listen. They don't just chop you down
Right.
and say, oh, this is the way, like you said. He really opened up the doors to a lot of different angles.
Yeah.
Or like Jan, what can we do with this on the banjo? She's the powerhouse banjo drive of the band. You know, when we
Yeah.
need to really push a song through,
Yeah.
a fast song, boom, there it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that.
How is the band now? All you guys seem to have really good camaraderie, which is cool.
Oh, yeah,
but,
definitely.
How you visioned it when you first started it, like 10 years ago, Jan? Is it kind of crazy to look at where it is now? As far as the evolution of the
I
band.
have always
That would
had a
assume we had a
feeling
vision.
about the band. You know, in all honesty, I've always had this feeling about this band, and I don't know why. But you get these feelings about things, and I knew that we were way different than all the other groups. I mean, I'd been in bluegrass for probably 25 years, and bluegrass you get a band that would be big in Toledo, but that was it. They never went anywhere else. And this band's gone so far beyond, and it has you can see that there's other stuff here, and it's just like, it's
Yeah,
going to
it's coming.
happen.
But
It's
we've
right around
worked
the
hard
corner.
to get it there.
We have worked really
we
hard
have worked
to get
really
it there.
hard, and people
Yes.
don't realize the music's only a small portion of what you
Yeah.
have to
And
do.
you guys record it all on your own too?
No, we
No,
went
we
to
use
studios.
studios.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Who did you guys do these albums with?
Well, two different people. The first
Okay.
one was
Happy Land.
Happy Land Recording.
Okay.
Who I think he got out of it. He's out of the business for one reason or another.
It's healthy.
Did a
But
great job.
yeah, I think it had something to do with his health. But yeah, he did a great job for us. It was a different vibe than what we were looking for, I think.
Yeah.
But he did a great job, and we were happy with the way everything came out. Second time, we went with a guy who's been in this music most of his life.
Yeah.
And he has his own studio, and he has his own acoustic band that plays all the time, and he has the same circle of friends, and so we went with Jerry Eicher at Indian Ridge Recording because it just seemed like the natural thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really do think he knocked it out of the park because we had, we don't have an unlimited budget. Jerry didn't have unlimited time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think about it. Eddie Van Halen once said that you never really finish an album. You just finally throw your hands up in the air and say, "Screw it, move on to the next part." Or print it. You're just finally just done messing.
Yeah,
You
that's
never
a fact.
Yeah, it's never finished. You're just done screwing with it.
Yeah.
And
Jerry had an infinite amount of patience.
oh yeah, definitely.
But he did give us feedback when he heard
yes.
something that he didn't like or that he did.
And
He said
as-
that I don't like that.
as
and
did
I do like
Gabe.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
One of Jerry's family, and then one of his comrades out there at the studio. Gabe worked with us on 1 or 2 songs one evening, and he did the same thing. He just picked right.
And
up
it was
where Jerry-
cool because he
just-
critiqued it.
Yes.
Right.
And we're
Yes.
not used to that. And we were all very receptive to it.
Yeah.
And he had really, he gave us some
Good-
things to think
good
about.
input.
Good input.
Yeah, and if something sucked, he would be real nice about it, but
Yeah.
he'd find a way to tell us.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
good.
And that's good.
yeah,
And I don't care if someone is brutal. I don't offend
Yeah.
easily.
Right.
I would rather if I play something and it just sucks.
Yeah.
I want you to say, whoa, back up.
Yeah.
Don't use that, and in fact, don't ever play that way.
Yeah.
And you're ugly
Because
too.
of Jay.
right?
You're ugly and you smell funny.
And I kicked your dog on the way in.
Yeah, but I'd rather have you just say, don't ever do that again. It does not work.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get out there and flog it to death trying to make it work.
Right. Right.
Because
Yeah.
because of some flawed perception I have of it.
Right.
I'd
And I
rather
think
have someone say, no, find another way. You know?
and I think we're all really good at keeping our egos in check.
Oh yeah.
To
definitely.
To say we don't have them, that's stupid because you wouldn't
It's the
do
only
this if
reason
you
we're
didn't
out
have
here.
it.
Right, right.
I mean, you want to be in front of people and make noise and make
Right.
something that they'll listen to, and
Wanna make 'em
and
smile,
You
make
want to
'em
make them
laugh.
smile and clap, you know. And so the ego's got to be there, but we keep them in check, you
Yeah.
know.
That's true.
You know, this would sound better, Dave, if you sang it, or this would sound better, Jan, if you played it,
Right,
or
right.
I don't like the way that's working. What if we tried this? And we're all willing to do that.
Yeah, we are really.
And it's really cool because there's been, I don't know how many times in the studio we said, wow, I didn't think it was going to sound like that, but I like that.
But it came out good.
Yeah.
Hey, you put a song together and you record it and you hear it back in your face the first time. You're like, oh, that's pretty much not what I was hearing. In my head.
Well, we did 2 songs like that.
And
We
that
played
can
them
be
and it was
good.
like, no, we're not doing that. That doesn't belong on this album.
That can be good
Yeah,
or it
that's
can be
right.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and
And
even,
you hope they
even when it's
erased
bad,
it.
yeah, even when it's bad,
I'm hoping he burned
it's
it.
good
Yeah,
because
really.
if you're paying attention, you'll learn from
You
that.
learn, yeah.
You'll know what not to do as much as what
Yeah.
to do.
And
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, you know what the funniest thing about bluegrass is, and there's so many snobs out there, whether they be rock snobs or classical snobs or country snobs or whatever, and they look at you and go, "Oh, you play bluegrass," and I have actually done it in the past where I've said, "Here, you play it, or come here, sit down,
Yeah.
let's play together." These people, there's a rhythm in bluegrass that is just. If you don't know what it is and you can't figure it
Yeah.
out, it's like a hot mess.
Yeah.
And people can't play it. People, I mean,
Yeah.
like Dave.
And Dave and I have both heard the
Holy
wrath of Jan
snap.
on that. Stop playing that chingy thing at the end. It's not folk music.
Stop strumming.
Well, I think it's funny you mentioned that because that's what I was just getting ready to ask you too. You know, because I feel like music now there's so many subgenres, right?
Yes.
Like nothing's pop anymore. Now there's like dubstep, and then there's this pop, and, and then
Exactly.
there's metal, there's metalcore,
Yeah.
and there's death metal, and there's
Yeah.
hard rock and soft rock, and it's like everybody's got their own little. So how is it when you guys? Because even this year or I'm looking at what you guys are playing. You've Ohio, Florida, Tennessee, Virginia, New
Yeah.
York. The big one coming up in North Carolina, the IBMA World of Bluegrass thing. What is the camaraderie like amongst the bands there? Do you get the feeling that everybody's there is like, you know, we're the best bluegrass band?
You know
or,
what?
or do you get people that'll come watch your show and go, hey man,
Yeah.
you guys we got to do something together. We should do some shows together. I mean, what is that like?
We haven't had so much of the let's do some shows together.
But
I heard Doyle Lawson say it one night.
Yeah.
Somebody came up to him and was telling him, "Oh, you guys are so awesome." And he says, "Oh, but you play music, right?" "Yeah, I play." He said, "What? I do the same thing you do."
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's one of the biggest names in bluegrass music. I mean, there aren't many bigger than that.
no, not really.
And he said, "What? You play music too? You're
Yeah.
doing the same thing I'm doing."
The
It
jerks
doesn't
don't
seem to-
last long
The
with
jerks get ostracized.
They don't. It's still that family
Humbleness.
humble thing going
Yeah.
in bluegrass. It still is.
I'm not sure it's
Regardless.
always sincere,
Yeah,
but that's
right.
But that's at least the outside.
But it's not
appearance.
country.
and it makes it
Everybody-
comfortable.
Yeah, they all aspire to it anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Have
So-
you guys had any favorite ones that have stuck out over the years, as far as either bands that you've met or shows that you've played?
Oh,
Well,
gosh.
Bob Evans Farms, where I
Oh,
ran in
yeah.
Ohio.
Yeah. That was
We,
great.
we opened up the show for Marty Rabin in Full Circle. Marty Rabin was the lead singer in one of my all-time favorite country bands, Shenandoah.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to him for all of 30 seconds backstage, but he was gracious, he was kind,
Yes, he was.
and he's an amazing voice and an amazing talent,
Yeah.
and it was just wonderful to share the stage.
Well, and he said after we got done playing, here's this guy that's been
Yeah.
really successful in music business. He said, "Man, you guys tore it up. I'm not sure if we want to go up there now."
Yeah,
Whether it was sincere or not, he said
Yeah.
it.
And he also said,
and it felt sincere.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But he goes, "Where have you guys been?"
and to have somebody that you consider a musical hero say something like that, it's like, duh. That was pretty amazing.
How excited are you guys for what's happening in Raleigh? Because this is what, the third or fourth year they're doing that, and I read there's
Oh, they've
been
done
going
it for a
on
long time.
a long time,
It just went to Raleigh. This will be the
okay.
third
So
year.
this is just
It's been in
Nashville
Nashville, but in Nashville it was just another thing.
Yeah.
because there's so much
Yeah.
going on.
In Raleigh, it is the big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, the crowds were amazing.
Major cities, and they're blocking off the streets, and people. There's bands in the streets,
And there's
bands
every
everywhere.
street,
It's a lot of
every
fun.
street for about 6 or 7 blocks has a stage up the street about maybe 200-300 yards, and every one of them has a full crowd.
And what I was reading about this too is like there's an awards thing, but there's also like almost like a business
Oh, there
conference
is,
too.
yeah.
Is that for like all the bands and stuff, like
That's
the
for,
networking opportunities?
That's
and
kind of
all
what
that?
got
it's
us
for the
down there
members,
last
yeah.
year. And I mean, we had a booth there, and people came over to we went down there, and I kept telling Jan, there's a couple people I want to talk to.
Yeah.
And
There they were.
I go and the one that I wanted to talk to is a songwriter named Donna Ulysses, great musician. I just love her. I saw her a few weeks ago up in Charlotte, but
Well, didn't
she
win
came
Songwriter
over
of
and
the Year,
talked
too?
to us,
Yeah.
and she goes, you guys write your own music? And I said, yeah, we write most of our own stuff. She goes, oh darn, I was going to pitch you a song. So it's like when you meet somebody like that and they make you feel good.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to sit down with her a couple times since then, at songwriting things, and it's just really neat, to sit and talk with the people, and they understand where you're coming from, and
It's
really
cool.
neat.
It's cool when you meet people and they're. I think genuine people always want to be treated like genuine human beings.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I've gotten a chance, like one of my, not to name drop, but just
Yeah.
for what we're talking about, like right now, one of my favorite all-time singers is Miles Kennedy.
Oh.
Right now,
Amazing.
Alter Bridge, Slash, phenomenal voice, and a lot of people don't know about stuff back in the day with Mayfield 4. Check out the song "Summer Girl." It's a beautiful song. He holds a note in that song for like I don't even know how many. It's ridiculous. His register is crazy. And when I talked to him, that was the first conversation. It was almost a year ago. It was the first conversation I've had with anybody for a while. And it was a phone interview. I mean, these guys are doing all kinds of press. The new Slash record just came out, and the guy was like, he got back to me. He's like, all right, you're gonna get, you can get 15 minutes with him, and he was one of the most down to earth.
Yeah.
Genuine guys. He put thought into the questions. He could tell that I knew about, because I try not to ask the PC stuff. I mean, when you're talking to bands and stuff, especially if they got a new album coming out and they're on that cycle or the touring cycle, you're going to have some overlap. There's only so many ways you can ask a question that they've already heard.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? And you have patience with them because you're like, especially if it's a big artist, it might be the 9th or 10th or 20th person they've talked to that day because they have a block from 2 to 4 or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But he was so cool and down to earth. Same thing with Mark Tremonti, one of my favorite guitarists. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. And I think that there is something to be said sometimes where it's like, people always say don't try to meet your idols or people you look up to because you might be let down. But luckily I've been very lucky that the people that I've looked up to have, so it's cool to see that you guys have had that experience with the bluegrass for the most part.
Looking up to someone and then meeting them and having them look down to you is just, it's terrible.
It's
Yeah.
awful.
Yes,
It's
yes,
awful.
yeah.
And there's really no excuse for that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
But, it just, I guess being in that position affects different people different ways.
Yeah.
Back in the rock and roll days with Uncle Knuckle Funk, we won a contest or something here in town, and I actually got to play with Knuckle Funk at the sports arena.
Yeah.
So I can tell my grandkids, when they're looking back at old black and white photos
Yeah.
of, a landmark that's been gone for years now.
The sports are
I
over.
can, I can say, that was the sports arena, and all the big bands played there, and
Yep, they
we
did.
opened a big show there. We opened for Queensryche.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was on their Here in the Now Frontier tour, and I'll tell you what, one guy in the band, one of the guitar players, and he probably had something going on in his life, maybe there were some issues, but he didn't say 2 words to anybody, sound check, and disappeared.
Yeah.
Went back to his room or whatever, you know. But my God, the rest of the band. I mean, my wife was sitting backstage at one of their tables. They let us have all their backstage cater. You guys make yourselves at home.
Yeah.
Whatever you want is yours. Everything from wine to Perrier to beer.
Yeah.
All kinds of food. You guys make yourselves at home. And my wife was sitting there comparing baby pictures
Yeah.
with Jeff Tate.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
like, well,
awesome.
you don't get
Wow.
much less rock star and
than
more
Jeff
down to
Tate,
earth
yeah.
than that. You know, comparing baby pictures with this actual this vocal god.
Yeah.
You know, he's a rock god at this point.
And they had an album that was kind of before its time in the
Yeah.
late '80s with Operation
Yes.
Mindcrime,
Yep.
and
And they were still doing most of that in its entirety. So that was a beautiful thing. So the previous tour I'd gone to see him twice. And then the tour right after that, I was opening a show for him in my hometown. So that was a pretty amazing experience. And what a nice bunch of guys. The drummer Scott Rockenfield was our drummer at the time. Had an unusual set of drums that are hyper unusual these days because they're long gone.
yeah.
But he's man. If I was a lefty, I'd want to sit down and play those because our drummer was a lefty.
Yeah.
And our drummer said, "Well, you couldn't do any worse than me, even playing them backwards,
Yeah.
And so there we were in the hallways behind the stage. We were pre-staging our equipment, and Scott Rockenfield's actually playing our drummer's drums,
Yeah.
and smiling, going, well, these are really amazing, and then just having a conversation, just
Yeah.
like we are now.
Yeah.
An amazing non-rock star moment. No real attitudes that we detected at all. It was amazing.
I remember.
Tom, who was that over at Elderly's
Yeah.
you bumped into?
What's
Who
that?
was that over at Elderly's you bumped into?
Oh, I was in Elderly's and Claire Lynch. I don't know if you knew who Claire is or not, but she's been around for a long time. She's been vocalist of the year. I don't know how many times, 3, 4, 5 times.
Probably.
And I was in Elderly's and I was playing mandolins, and there was this lady sitting over in the corner in a sweatsuit, kind of hunched over, playing. And she was a really good guitar player. And I was over looking at mandolins. That was before I took Jerry up because Jerry's always talking the good deals with them. So
You can afford
I always
it.
take him when I buy something. But
You
anyway.
can afford it.
I played a bunch of them, and all of a sudden, this lady came up behind me, and I immediately recognized the voice. She goes, "That one sounds the best of all of them that you played." And I turned around and I go, "Claire?" And she goes, "Yes, but you're not supposed to recognize me." And she laughed. So, I kind of let her do her thing. We talked for a second.
Talking about the humbleness of the business,
just really a
There she
sweet
is.
person, and it's neat.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Recently, we'll wrap this up soon because it's been a little after 7. You guys have been awesome. Jammed food and everything. This has been great. But it's funny you mentioned that because recently, my stepdad actually, and this was a couple of years ago, and I remember there being some buzz around it at the time, but whatever was going on in my life or whatever, I evidently missed it. But Led Zeppelin, what some people would say is one of the biggest rock bands on the planet,
If not the biggest.
and it was the Wilson sisters, I think, from Heart, who played with. There was like a choir, and you could. I mean, it. And I'm not like a huge. And this might sound sacrilegious. Some people, Led Zeppelin was a little bit before my time. I was
Right.
born in
Oh,
'88.
yeah, right.
So I grew up.
It was
listening.
way before your time.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I mean, so I've heard all the classics and stuff, but now that I've gotten older, I've listened to songs like Tangerine, and you're like, oh my God,
The
there's so
Wanton
much.
song.
Yeah, there's
Oh.
so many other ones that never got radio play, but to watch Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones and Robert Plant sit there like this. He had his finger underneath his nose, like he was like legitimately moved, and I'm like, that's what it's about, when you see people. Because it's like you write the music for you. Like you said, we all have a selfish need to do this. Like I love doing the podcast because I like talking to people. I love music.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You guys love playing the music. And when you see people connect with it, whether it's the fans, and it was like to see them, because I gotta imagine, like, I mean, can you imagine playing Stairway to Heaven for like Led Zeppelin? Like I'm a Metallica
for the
fan. Like I
guys that
can't imagine
created it,
playing
the guys
like
that played it.
Enter Sandman for Metallica or like
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or One, and you'd be like, oh my God, they're watching us, and to see them be like so moved.
Robert Plant actually had
Robert
tears
Plant
in his
had
eyes.
tears in his eyes.
And it was like they got it. Like I don't
Yeah.
even know other way to explain it
They
other than
got
that. Like
it.
they got it. Like we wrote this, we felt it, and
Yeah.
to see another generation feel it
Another
and move
generation.
us. Like I was like, that's
Right.
like the coolest thing. Like it choked me up.
Oh,
watching it. I was
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
my God. You know what
You know,
I mean?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
With going back to the rock and roll thing, and one of the things that's the same about this band, and it was funny because I never thought I'd experience this twice, and I've been lucky enough to experience it twice. The first time we had the ball rolling, and we were playing bigger shows, and people were hollering our names and mouthing our lyrics while we were singing them.
I will never forget the first time
you
we
look
saw
out
that.
at someone, you're like, they know my song, and they're singing it back with me.
It is
You know,
so bizarre.
and in this band, none of us ever thought that would happen because we just started out. It wasn't going to be that kind of driven thing. We were just like, well, we like to do this. We'll play some shows. We'll have some fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it started to become pretty serious shit. And now it's. I mean, we're in deep, and we've experienced that with this band.
It's so
You know,
cool.
we're out there playing our songs, and we're doing this and doing that. You know, and you're trying to sing, and you're watching the front row. And you're like, shit, there's 3 people singing. That's pretty cool.
I remember leaning back to Jan. She was right beside me the first time we saw that, and I don't remember. Somebody was playing a break. I think Davey was with us then playing a break. Our old fiddle player. And I leaned back to Jan. Yeah, one of them. I leaned back to Jan and I said, "Do you see that?" She goes, "Isn't that cool?" And I instantly, my mind went to an interview I heard with Billy Joel, and they said, "Does it ever get old when people sing your music, or do you ever say, 'Stop singing it, I'm trying to'?" He said, "No." He said, "Every time I hear the people sing Piano Man back to me, I get the same exact feeling." And he said, "I don't care if it's happened 1,000 times." And for just an instant, we got to experience it. And if that's the only couple instances where it's happened, I mean,
But
that's
when,
okay.
When you're
But
in
you've
New York
connected.
State and they're doing the same thing, and you've never been to New York, and you're watching,
you're 14-hour drive from home, and you're like,
what the heck?
They know.
how do you know?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
guys,
amazing.
this has been fun. I'll just wrap it up by you saying thank you. This has been awesome.
Well,
Thank
this
you.
has been fun.
Thank you.
It's been cool getting to know all you guys. And what are you guys looking forward to the rest of the year? I know you got the Blissfield show coming up right at the end of the month,
Yes,
and then you got,
Blissfield and the day after in
that'll be a
Island.
great show. They always put on a terrific
Yeah,
program.
they
That's probably year to year our favorite show
Yeah.
because it's the first real festival that we ever played. And we went from being somebody who had to play at 3 in the morning, and then we actually were the headliner one year, and it was like, what just happened?
Really? That was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
so it's pretty cool. So we like to go back there, and
We got that. What else we got coming up?
we've got tons
we got
of
some stuff down in Columbus. We've got
Do you want the website on there?
yeah, the website's fossilcreekbluegrass.com, and our whole schedule's on there. You can buy music on there if anybody's interested. And
and where can people find you on Facebook? Is it
just
Just
Fossil
search
Creek
for
Band?
the Fossil Creek Band.
The Fossil
Fossil
Creek
Creek
Band.
Blue-
or Fossil Creek Bluegrass. We actually have 2 sites.
Okay.
We have
They
a
kinda
page and a
combine.
home site.
Okay.
Yeah.
But make sure you put in bluegrass after Fossil Creek, because
Yeah.
otherwise you get the state park in Arizona.
Yeah.
Trust me, the pictures on that one are a heck of a lot prettier.
For the next album, that's what you guys should do. Is just have stand in front of a green screen and then put like an Arizona background.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Route 66.
That could happen.
There we go.
Well, guys, this has been awesome. I'll make sure I put up the links to all your stuff. So, Tom,
Super.
Jerry, Dave, Jan, thank you for the
Thank
hospitality.
you.
Thank
you.
for talking. It's been a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
thanks for
Yeah,
coming out.
same
Awesome,
here.
Mike.
Gracias.
Have some chicken.
Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was the Fossil Creek Band. Want to give a shout out again to Jan, Tom, Dave, and Jerry for being so cool and so accommodating. I mean, that was the first time I've done a podcast with somebody where there was like food present like that. I showed up. Jan had grinders from Mancino's, which is an awesome, awesome place. I think it was Mancino's Grinders. They've been around forever. Really, really freaking good food, man. So it was just so cool to go there and have that hospitality and have those guys be so cool and open and honest and talk about the band, talk about their music and life and everything. It was really fun. So from the bottom of my heart, Jan, Tom, Dave, Jerry, thank you for being so accommodating and so cool and for doing the show. And for those of you who want to check these guys out, please go follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/The Fossil Creek Band. You can also check them out online at www.fossilcreekbluegrass.com. If you're in the southeast Michigan, northwest Ohio area, Coming up on August 29th, these guys are going to be playing Bluegrass on the River in Blissfield, Michigan. The next day, they're going to be in Milan for the Josh Kittle benefit at KC Campground. And then they've got a few more in September in Ottawa Lake at Whiteford Community Days on Saturday, September 12th. On Sunday, September 13th, they're going to be in Erie, Michigan at the Erie Orchard Apple Festival. And then the cool one that's going to be coming up, another cool one that's going to be coming up, September 29th through October 3rd, these guys are actually going to be down in Raleigh, North Carolina for the IBMA World of Bluegrass. And that is really cool because in addition to just being like a music festival, there's also going to be a business conference and an award show in addition to all the performances that are going to be going on. And the IBMA, it's like the International Bluegrass Music Association. Yes, I got that right. So that's kind of a big deal. That's really cool. So I'm excited for those guys that they're going to be down there checking that out and being a part of that. So once again, make sure you go follow them on Facebook at the Fossil Creek Band, facebook.com/the Fossil Creek Band, and online their website is fossilcreekbluegrass.com. You can go there, check out their music, get the bios and everything. Their CDs are available there with the links to CD Baby and iTunes. Songs from Home 2012 and 2015, Waiting on the Daylight, which you guys are going to hear the title track from right at the end of this. But, man, it was cool. You know, Dave is a guy that I've known for a couple of years now, but really have gotten to know just the last few months. And that's kind of how this episode came about. One of my best friends from growing up, Justin, Dave is his wife's stepdad. And we were talking about music one day, and I knew he had played guitar and had been in bands and stuff, but just it was just cool sitting down at a cookout. I went over to his house, Justin's house, had a cookout a couple months ago, and we just started talking about music. And you guys know I can talk. And Dave is he's just a very energetic, very nice, warm, friendly guy. Like, you can't really be around Dave and be unhappy, and if you are, there's probably something wrong with you. But he just kind of has that warmth and just a really good personality. So that, on top of the fact that this dude loves music and is an amazing guitar player, as you guys will hear when you check out Fossil Creek's music, or go to YouTube and look up the stuff back in the day too. Uncle Knuckle Funk, amazing band that he was in the 90s. I mean, he's just a really good dude. And we started talking about music. I was like, dude, we got to get that on the show. I was like, I don't know much about bluegrass, but I was like, I love showcasing new music to people. I'm interested to check it out. And like I said, I came away with this, not that I didn't respect bluegrass before, but you don't know what you don't know. And just listening to the music and just seeing how talented everybody is, and just seeing how hard they play, and just even some of the pace of this is actually kind of quick, which might sound weird. You might not think of bluegrass as being like up-tempo, but in terms of the instrumentation, there's songs where it's like from start to finish, man, everybody's playing a role. And I think that that's what's really cool, is that this music, it really is kind of like a team sport. You know, I mean, not that other genres aren't, but just in terms of the role that they play and the skill level that it takes to play the banjo or the mandolin or the guitar or the fiddle, the bass. I mean, it's just really cool, and I have a lot of respect for it. And these guys are a great band, so I really hope you go check out their music. Once again, please go follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/the Fossil Creek Band, and also fossilcreekbluegrass.com. Dave, thank you for being a part of this and getting me in touch with everybody. Jan, thank you so much, not only for the grinders, but your hospitality, for me to record this in your home and everybody be so cool. Same thing, Tom, Jerry, you guys are great. And once again, everybody, please go check these guys out live. If you're in the Michigan area or you want to take a little road trip, they've got 3 different shows that they're going to be playing basically within the next month. Blissfield on August 29th, Milan on August 30th, Ottawa Lake on September 12th, Erie, Michigan on September 13th, and then the big one down in Raleigh, North Carolina. They're going to be at the IBMA World of Bluegrass Festival. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're a little down south and you're checking this out, make sure you go check that out. And other than that, I just want to say thank you. This has been a fun show. I had to record the intro like 4 or 5 times. Somehow I just like shrunk this track and made the other one really big. But I promise you, when you hear it, it's going to sound amazing. I think it might have to do with the fact that I got 4 hours of sleep and my computer keeps giving me the little update button. It's just, oh my God. But if that's the worst thing that happens to me today, it's cool. So thanks again, everybody, for checking out the show. Remember, you can go follow me on Twitter at Mike V. Bauman. Check out my personal website, mikevbauman.com. Please download the Podbean app, not only to listen to my show, but there's all kinds of really awesome shows on Podbean Really, really cool stuff out there. So if you got an iPhone, you got an Android, you can check it out. PODBEAN. Download the Podbean app. Subscribe for free. You won't regret it. And on that note, I want to say keep the faith and be kind to one another. From their latest album, Waiting on the Daylight, the Fossil Creek Band, here is the title track from their latest work that just came out in 2015. Here is Waiting on the Daylight. Peace.
Face the darkness, waiting on the daylight. Raised up on the wrong side of the mountain. Life's a daily battle all uphill, and it takes everything you got to just keep climbing. When you think it won't get worse, well then it will. Someday I'm gonna reap the seed I've sown, so I'm gonna keep my shoulder to the stone. I've got no cause to fear the coming night. I'll face the darkness, waiting on the daylight. Let the cold winds blow like a pillar, I stand still. Life can break a body, I won't let it break my will. And I may not win the prize, but I won't give up the fight. Face the darkness, waiting on the daylight. Some folks are just given to temptation.